When people talk about secrets, they often think of little things that don't matter much. A forgotten detail from the past, an old memory tucked away, or something you simply didn't want to bring up again. But what I'm about to share isn't small at all. It's a story about family, marriage, betrayal, and the unexpected courage of a son who saw something I tried desperately to keep hidden. My name is Claire Thompson. I grew up in a small town in Ohio, and for as long as I can remember, I wanted stability. I didn't come from a family with a lot of love to go around. My parents argued constantly, and by the time I was 12, they had separated. I promised myself that if I ever got married, I would do everything to keep my family together. When I met Michael, my husband, he felt like the safe choice. He was dependable, hardworking, and had a way of calming the chaos around him. We got married young, maybe too young, and within a year, I had my first son, Ethan. 5 years later, our second son, Daniel, was born. From the outside, we looked like the perfect suburban family. The 2-story home with a white picket fence, the dog that barked too much, and weekends spent at Little League games and church picnics. But behind that polished picture, there were cracks I didn't want anyone to see. Michael was a good man, but not an attentive husband. He worked long hours, and when he came home, he barely had energy for conversation. He would eat, watch some TV, and go to bed. I told myself he was just tired, that he loved us in his own way. But deep down, I felt lonely. Loneliness is dangerous. It creeps into your heart silently until one day you don't even recognize the choices you're making anymore. That's how I met Adam. Adam wasn't some stranger I ran into at a cafe. He was an old friend from college who had recently moved back to town. He was charming, funny, and he remembered the version of me I used to be before marriage, and kids consumed all my time. He made me feel alive again, and I hated myself for craving that feeling. One conversation turned into coffee, coffee turned into lunches, and lunches turned into something more. I told myself it was harmless at first. Just friendship. Just laughter. But in my heart, I knew I was playing with fire. And soon, I got burned. The affair with Adam didn't last very long, maybe 6 months, but in those 6 months, I lived 2 lives. At home, I was the dutiful wife and mother, baking cookies for bake sales and folding laundry late into the night. But in secret, I was someone else entirely, a woman searching for passion, for validation, for something I didn't think I could ask my husband for anymore. When I ended things with Adam, I swore I would bury the memory forever. I deleted messages, erased emails, and tucked away every trace of him into a corner of my mind I thought no one would ever touch. I thought the secret would stay with me forever. But I underestimated the sharp eyes of my oldest son. Ethan was 17 when it all came out. One Saturday morning, I asked him to help me clean out the garage. It was something I had been putting off for months, and Michael was at work. Daniel had gone to a friend's house for the weekend, so it was just Ethan and me. We laughed as we sorted through boxes of old toys and dusty holiday decorations. Ethan teased me about keeping things I never used, calling me a hoarder in training. And then it happened. He pulled out an old shoebox from the back of a shelf. I froze the moment I saw it. I had forgotten that box even existed. Inside were photos, old letters, and a few keepsakes from my time with Adam. Things I had convinced myself I had thrown away, but must have tucked in there for reasons I'll never understand. Maybe part of me didn't want to forget completely. Ethan opened the box casually, not expecting anything unusual. But as soon as he saw the contents, his smile faded. He looked at me with confusion first, then with suspicion. "Mom, what is this?" he asked, holding up a photograph of me and Adam together. My heart pounded so loudly, I thought it would burst out of my chest. "It's nothing," I stammered, reaching for the picture. But Ethan pulled it back. "No, it's not nothing. Who is this guy? Why are you with him like this?" There was no easy way to explain it. I wanted to lie, to brush it off as some old forgotten friend, but Ethan was too smart for that. His eyes were filled with hurt, with the dawning realization that his mother was not who he thought she was. "Ethan," I whispered, tears welling up in my eyes, "that's someone I made a mistake with." "A mistake?" His voice cracked. You mean you cheated on Dad? The word hung in the air like a blade, sharp and unrelenting. I tried to explain, fumbling over words about loneliness, about how his father and I had drifted apart, about how I wasn't proud of what I'd done. But Ethan wasn't just my son, he was also Michael's son. And in that moment, I could see the betrayal in his face, not just for me but for the man he looked up to as his father. For days, Ethan barely spoke to me. He avoided me at dinner, shut himself in his room, and when he did speak, his words were clipped and cold. I felt like I had lost him. The hardest part was when he asked me, "Are you going to tell Dad, or do I have to?" I panicked. I begged him not to. I told him that what happened was in the past, that it didn't mean anything now, that destroying the family would only hurt all of us. But Ethan was torn. He loved me, but he also loved his father. He didn't know whether keeping the secret made him complicit or whether telling the truth would shatter everything. Eventually, Ethan made his choice. He sat me down one evening and said, "Mom, I won't say anything to Dad, but you need to understand something. You broke my trust. And that's going to take a long time to fix." His words cut deeper than any punishment I could imagine. From that day on, I worked tirelessly to rebuild my relationship with Ethan. I showed up for him, listened more, and tried to be the mother he needed me to be. I couldn't erase the mistake, but I could show him that people can change, that forgiveness, while hard, is possible. As for Michael, he never found out. At least not from Ethan or me. Maybe one day the truth will come to light, or maybe it will remain one of those buried secrets families carry in silence. But what I do know is that my son became my mirror that day. He showed me the parts of myself I didn't want to see, and because of that, I had to face who I really was. The lesson I learned is that infidelity doesn't just break marriages, it breaks families. It changes how your children see you, how they trust you, how they believe in love. And sometimes, the hardest forgiveness to earn isn't from your spouse, but from your children. Today, Ethan is in college, and we're closer than we've ever been. It wasn't easy, but slowly, he let me back into his heart. Daniel never knew, and Michael remains blissfully unaware. But I carry the weight of what happened every day, not as a punishment, but as a reminder. A reminder that choices matter, that secrets don't stay hidden forever, and that sometimes it's the people you least expect, your own children, who see you most clearly. That day in the garage changed everything. It wasn't just about a box of old memories. It was about facing the truth I had buried for too long. And though it broke something in the moment, it also forced me to rebuild stronger than before. And that's why I share this story now, not for sympathy, not for judgment, D.